take action or don't take action, time will pass regardless. I heard that quote the other day, and it's one I've heard previously, probably never thought about it as much as I previously have. And I feel like once you get to a certain age, and like for myself, I still would say I'm quite young, but now I'm into my early 30s, you start to think about life quite differently. And this year specifically has felt like a huge amount of different things have happened in my life, good things, bad things, and I'm going to share a few of those things with you today. This is the first YouTube video I've done for quite a while, but I want to share a lot of different things on this channel now, and that's going to be a mix of personal things, business things, financial things, and everything that I kind of feel blends into my life, what makes up myself, my family, and where the future goes, because there's a lot of different opportunities out there in a huge amount of segments, whether that is e-commerce and specifically Amazon, or getting into other things like property, which I have done in a big way in the UK. And again, I'm going to share some of those things with you, and specifically what we've been able to achieve this year, which has come off the back of a lot of long years investing in similar asset classes and then getting into bigger and bigger stuff as we've progressed. So I think probably the first place to start really is what I want to do on this channel, because I feel like there's a huge amount of business experience which I can share with you, impart with you as I travel through this journey, and I want you to get involved as well. And if this is content that you like, you want to hear more of, just hit the like button, hit subscribe, and I'll share more with you, give you more insight and more depth into some of the things I've done, because like I mentioned, I've been on this journey for a long time. Really, it started when I was in my teens, probably 14, 15, getting involved in business, buying and selling, dealing with people, building relationships, and that's where everything actually starts. If you're able to build relationships with people in business, like I remember when some of my first deals went down and I was working with guys that were like 70, 60, 70, and I was just a teenager going in, buying products from these wholesale places, reselling them on eBay, and doing all sorts of things, reselling ebooks. I'll buy a big bulk of them off eBay, resell them, trying to set up software, and we're talking like over 15 years ago here. So a lot of different stuff has happened. But to get into this year, because this is what I want this video to focus on, what has really happened this year and the different kind of challenges that we've faced with different businesses, different stuff going on. And the year probably started in quite an incredibly challenging place. We were embarking on, and when I say we, I'm talking about me and my now wife, as we're holidaying on the Palm at the minute for Christmas, just having a few days off and reflecting on the year, having a bit of a break and making a plan for next year, because making plans is absolutely critical and should be central to your life, I personally feel, because having plans and written down plans that you can actually structure in a way that you can go through and complete, whether that's daily actions that build into weekly actions, monthly results, yearly results, etc., etc. Everything is that formula that builds towards that. People think they can just turn up one day, put the effort in, and the results come back out on the back end in a few weeks' time. That's never ever the result. And again, I've been doing this for so long now that yes, you can shortcut things. Certainly nowadays you can shortcut the journey massively. What took me 7 or 8 years to build, you can build nowadays in 18 months to 2 years, I feel. And that's what people are doing in my program, for example. Some of my students who are launching their brands, it's compressing that time frame massively. And that's just about having training, mentors, things like that, which I discovered quite a lot later in my journey. And when I did input them into my personal journey, it speeded things up massively. So just jumping back to the start of the year, we were embarking on a property purchase, commercial property, industrial estate, which probably 6 months prior to that I managed to agree. And after a bit of back and forth with negotiation, and there might be some other videos on my channel I'm talking about this, we eventually got to a point where we could look to complete, and I completed that journey in early February, and that was one of the most difficult things I've probably ever done. And the main thing really was that it was the legal side of stuff, so solicitors, making sure title deeds were correct. We were doing a little bit of a complicated purchase. It involved a title split with another piece of land that we actually agreed separately, and this was a transaction that ended up being a couple of £1 million. So it was, you know, a big deal, and these kind of opportunities don't come around very often, and you may only have, I mean, some people may never have this opportunity, but for me, I think there will be one or two other moments like this over the next few years where you can acquire these assets. And the main reason I'm acquiring these assets really is from a legacy play, and this is a whole reason why I'm, probably not the whole reason, but it's a byproduct of, I guess, what is inside of you and what makes you want to get on this journey of buying and selling, which results in income, which results in you being able to invest in assets and really going right down that, I guess, that kind of funnel. But everything at the heart of it starts with buying and selling, doing a transaction which, you know, you provide value, you sell value, and it's that circle of things really. So we acquired this asset, which was a fantastic asset, and it's taken probably 7 to 8 months to get everything properly set up and in a position where I'm happy with it. In this particular instance, it was all the kind of property mess and jargon behind it, EPCs, electrical certificates, insurance stuff, getting everything up to a standard where it would be kind of acceptable in 2025. Often when you buy these assets and they're good opportunities, they're kind of dilapidated in the nicest possible sense, and not dilapidated in a sense of like run down or anything, but more the fact that there is opportunities to improve things. And often that's how you end up acquiring these things. Whereas when you buy stuff that is full tilt, there's no opportunity to, let's say, improve things or increase rent slightly, then you really miss out on a lot of that potential uplift. And that's a similar type of thing to what I've done over the last, I would say, 7 or 8 years now. There's a jellyfish in the water, I'm just having a look at that. And see, this is what happens. You suddenly get distracted by something and it takes you off piste. But again, this is very much what can happen in this space, and it's about not going off track. The longer that you can stay on one path and one vision, the more successful you will be. Too many people flip-flop around into different strategies, and you may hear me talking on this channel about different investment strategies. That is different to starting to sell on Amazon, then thinking, well, let's get on TikTok 10 minutes later, let's get on Temu 10 minutes after that, and we need Shopify and this and this and this, and suddenly your attention is shot and you're in a position where, damn, like I've only put 20% effort into each of those strategies. And getting ahead in this game is not about that. When you can focus 100% into just one of these things, you're going to get 10 times the success as if you dilute your attention into these other places. So always remember that. That is absolutely critical. And the most successful people you will see have mastered one channel before getting into these other things. I guarantee it. And you know, if you can show us someone who's got into 5 channels at the same time, fair play, they're probably a bit of a unicorn. So anyway, just back to the big thing that happened at the start of this year. Got that done. We've improved things, got things up to standard, and there was a big opportunity with rents as well. So they were quite downvalued. I actually have had units on that estate for the last 9 years now, actually. 9 years, yeah. 8 or 9 years, one of them. And even I know my rents haven't gone up in that time, and so there was an opportunity to move rents up there, and all the things that we've actually done to this site mean that we've increased the yield on this site, which is taking it from around that kind of 2 million mark with another piece of land that we have as well to about 2.3 million, and they're essentially just paper plays. Like, that's what we've kind of done. Not that I ever intend to sell this site, you know, this is something that will stay in my family and my legacy hopefully forever, and they'll reap the benefits of, I guess you could say, the pains that we've gone through in this at this time. So moving on from that, another couple of things. We actually then made a big decision to shut down part of our warehouse and kind of get into this more digital nomad way of life. We've been in Dubai now for, well, 2 years pretty much, and I don't see that changing in the short term. And one thing that I've really discovered now that I wasn't fully in the warehouse every day was that there was an opportunity to fully step away from that, because what happens is that maybe unfortunately you get dragged into all the nitty gritty, all the minute details of different stuff. And I actually went through a period previously before I came out here of working from home, a home office, where there was much less distractions and you were able to achieve far more. And one of the reasons again why we actually moved here was that we figured we don't have to be in the warehouse every day, we don't have to be in the office every single day. What we do just requires a laptop. And again, this is the kind of format which I'm talking to my students about in my Amazon program at the minute, or not at the minute, is kind of the whole thesis of it, that you can work anywhere, you can be remote, and you can just send goods directly from your supplier wherever in the world that is, by the way. That doesn't have to be China, that can be UK, Europe, Vietnam, wherever it is, and you just sit in the middle. You send emails to somebody, you say send my products to here, to here, to here, or you use 3PLs in the UK, whatever. It's the same format as you go on and as you progress. So I'm cautious this might end up being a bit of a long video, so I don't want to make it too long. I'm going to condense the information which I'm about to share with you, and we'll put them into the following videos. So yeah, a lot of things happened. Part of the warehouse shut down, the rest of it's now gone, and we're using a mix of Amazon, 3PLs to fulfill our goods. So we don't need to have an abundance of staff managing all the goods, sending shipments out, all these things. It's taken care of now, and I feel that has really, I don't know about lifted the weight, that's probably the wrong kind of word, but it's led us into another dimension where we can fully focus on growing the business again, being more aggressive with the products that we launch, and launching more brands, more products, because ultimately at the heart of it, that's what I actually love to do. And going out to China, you may have seen some of my videos on Instagram, that is the stuff that really I find really interesting. Going to these cultures, going and seeing these people, finding products in factories, seeing everyone else's products in these factories is so cool. And if you ever get the opportunity to do something like that, I urge you to go out there, meet your suppliers, go to the different markets, whether that is Canton Fair, these shows in Hong Kong, shows in Germany, Iwu Market. There's loads and loads of places out there where you can go and find products and change them, bring in better versions, bigger, better, advance the products. There is an absolute abundance of opportunity in e-commerce, and honestly it's almost never been as easy to launch products. You've got AI alongside it, which again I'm going to talk about in further videos, how you can use that to your advantage to do your product research, bring products to market, launch them, scale them, and so on and so on. And again, so progressing through the year, we had that. I also injured my knee very stupidly, and that was a big lesson for me, because I started a bit of a, I guess you could say, a bit of a fitness journey, and was going really hard, and if anything, probably too hard. And well, it definitely was. Ended up in hospital, had a quite a serious knee injury and had to have it operated on within 24 hours, which by the way was pretty cool, the healthcare that we got out here. It was like an immediate scan, almost immediate surgery. The guy came in on his day off, we did it, back home the following day. Unfortunately, I was then basically bedbound for the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and 6 months later we're getting there. It's not in a bad place, but anyway, and so on. So we progressed through that. We've had a very good year business wise, really strong, and it's more like the back end things which I think about. So every year you'll have something which kind of dominates what's happened on your journey, whether that is you've had the super strong product launches, you've had amazing systems go into place, or maybe you've gone into Europe or US and expanded to some of these other places. I feel like this year we've had a clean up of our back end almost, and we've reduced a lot of SKUs that were kind of dead weight. We've focused and doubled down on products where I think there's way more opportunity, and we're diversifying. So we're going into different brands, different niches over this next 3 to 6 months, and you know, this is what happens. Nothing stays the same for 3, 4, 5 years. Things change. You diversify. Where I was 5 or 6 years ago is a different place to where I am now, and I imagine that gap gets smaller and smaller and smaller. So you end up changing direction slightly every few years. Like where I started out is completely different to where I am now, and people still talk to me about the stuff that or people from back home still talk to me about the stuff I was doing 10, 12 years ago, saying, oh, how's this going, how's that going? I'm thinking, I've not sold them products for years. Like this is this is just how things change and become very different. And so yeah, that's something to also think about when you're on your journey. It doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to be that starting point, and things will evolve and progress the further that you go in your business life. So just to kind of get to the end of the point here, very strong year, personally, business, a lot of things have happened. I've got married, I've got a child on the way in a few months. It's been a pretty amazing year, and a lot of these things I would never have, I don't think were going to happen at the start of this year. It wasn't like my utmost focus, but life changes very quickly, and sometimes you just gotta roll with it and embrace it and enjoy it, because the years pass by quicker than you think. And you know, people used to say that when I was a lot younger, like, oh, you know, when you get to my age, blah blah blah, and I'm sure you hear that all the time from these older people out there, but life seriously does fly by. Take every opportunity you get, take a chance, and you know, what's the worst thing that can happen? The best thing that can happen is it changes your life and amazing things happen. So when you're on this life, on this business journey, take opportunities, take risk. Everything is a calculated risk, and as long as you've done your numbers, you're happy with it, if you're an entrepreneur, you will take these risks, because ultimately they aren't risks. You've worked out the risk factor, and very often it's a risk worth taking. So yeah, that kind of brings, oh, and of course the other thing, we've had a ton of successes within the program. I don't post as many as I should have. My DMs are usually full of well, my Telegram ones are full of like the students saying, look at this, I've launched this, I've done X amount of units, best Q4 ever, which is like awesome. The joy that brings me, I guess a few years ago, before I started doing this and helping other people in a similar space, I didn't quite realise about what that feeling would feel like. I had a lot of people telling me that oh, you know, teaching's really fun, you get a lot out of it personally, and it probably came at quite a good time for me, and it really hit home once you first. It's almost like a adrenaline rush once you start getting these people message you like, I've done this, I've done that, you know, thanks for helping me. It's like, wow, that's amazing, I want more of that. And like that's what's happened a lot this year. I think a lot has come to fruition really, and because this can take a few months to get going, maybe 6 months to get established, And then once people get to that maybe 9 months, a year mark, they've got something really solid set up, and they're really starting to rinse and repeat the process, and it's bloody amazing at that point. So yeah, obviously thank you to everyone who's a part of that. It's super special. So yeah, I'm going to leave it there for now. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe. There's going to be a lot more content coming, and we're going to mix it up. There'll be teaching, there'll be stories like this, and everything else in between on this channel. I want to make it a kind of whole diary for myself as well, that I can look back on in a few years' time and reflect on the journey. But for now, a nice view of the palm, and can we see over there? Got Atlantis Royal, the Atlantis. So yeah, over and out.